the beginning of this week, I think it was, recently, in the last few days, was the yard site of the Baruch Vayeishev, the Einokol of the Baal Shem Tov. And Baruch Vayeishev was a big tzaddik. He didn't have a smartphone, and mainly he was able to steig in his ruchnius. And he became a very big tzaddik. I can tell you about he was very serious Rebbe. From all the Rebbes, he was known to be like fire. You know, everything was like total dveikus in his base medish. Anyone made a peep that wasn't called for. Someone got too involved in the davening, wasn't called for. Someone started saying, "Oi," crashing in his base medish that wasn't called for. Anything that was just a little disruptive, that person would get a stare down, and they would know that this is serious business. So Baruch Vayeishev was a very serious Rebbe, and a big tzaddik. And the story goes that the Heiliger Vayeishev, Vayeishev, wanted to spend the Shabbos in by Baruch in Mezhebish, and Rabbi Yitzchak was I don't want to say exact opposite, but his personality was one that was of raging dveikus, raging excitement in his avodas Hashem. If you read the different stories about Rabbi Yitzchak's stories, he's always throwing himself into this uncontrollable dveikus states at a whim. And this wouldn't work for the Seder of the Beis Medrash or Baruch Vayeishev. So the story goes that Rabbi Yitzchak wanted to come to for Shabbos, and so they asked Baruch whether he could come. So he says he could come, but the deal is he can't make a peep the entire Shabbos. Okay, that's the deal. He can't make a peep the entire Shabbos. So there's two girsais to the story, but B'kitzer, I'll tell you the more interesting girsa. It comes Friday night to the Suda, and the Rebbe is making Kiddush, and the place is silent, and Rabbi Yitzchak is holding himself together, right, just trying to control himself. The overpowering Kedusha Shabbos is pouring out of him, and it comes to the Hamaitzi, and he wants to scream the Amen at the top of his lungs, and he controls himself, he's sitting in control, his mom is under control. So on, they serve him the fish, and they say he eats his fish, and whoever was serving him, maybe the Rebbitzin, whoever was serving says, "No, Rabbi Yitzchak, das lieb gehabt from the fish. Did you like the fish?" At this point, he broke out, he screamed, out of control. Ich hab nar lieb der Rebbeinu Shalom. I have only. You tell me, do I love the fish? All he's thinking about is controlling this tremendous Abba HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All of a sudden came pouring out when someone suggested you could possibly have some sort of shaykhus to Olam Hazeh. And the Chassidim were about to pick him up, throw him out the window, right? Because this clearly broke every decorum rule of the Tish of Baruch Hu. And Baruch Hu said, as that outburst, even I could be shayvel. That's the Rebbe Baruch Hu. Very serious person. They say over B'Shem the Rebbe Baruch Hu that he said the following. The other guess was he went nuts by Nishmas. They say over in the Rebbe Baruch Hu that he says when a person's daily avodas hayom, some days where things go geschmack and you feel very successful. You got up, you felt rested. You went to shul, your coffee hit the spot, you're all invigorated for your davening. You get to Seder, your chabus is there, you're learning Geshmak Sugya, lunch is good, second day is good, mincha, ma'ariv, it's all good, and you think you're doing great. And then there are days that don't go so easy. You come into yeshiva, there's this Rebbe over there, who personally you have a very rough time with, very annoying, condescending, sarcastic, and you don't feel so good. Right? Then you try to open your Gemara and learn. It's a shver taisvis. You're a little tired. You have a headache. Seder doesn't go so well. Kavan and Mincha is not so good, and you rate yourself at the end of this day, and you say, wow, what a failure. Right? That would be the natural way of looking at things. Dr. Baruch Mezhevish, he says, by him it's exactly the opposite. On days where there's avodah that goes easy, and he just feels like, wow, this is so geschmack, he says he's ready to die from the Nama de Kisufa. He's ready to faint from the tsar of the Nama de Kisufa. What's Nama de Kisufa? There's a Lashon Hazayah that says the reason why Olam Hazeh has to be so difficult, we have to struggle, because if we don't struggle in our daily avodah, when we get to Olam Haba, we're going to be embarrassed. Hashem is giving us so much schar, we're going to feel like we didn't earn it. So Dr. Baruch Mezhevish, he says, on a day where things go gleich and smooth in my avodah Hashem, he's doing the highest level of avodah Hashem, but he's suffering intensely from the fact that it's going so easy. He looks at this as being pure Nama de Kisufa. When life is easy, this was a problem by him. Life is not supposed to be easy. So this had me thinking a little bit. This week's parsha, Vayeishev Yaakov, Beretz Begurei Aviv, Rashi tells us in one of the pshatim that Bikesh Yaakov Leishev B'Shalva. Yaakov wanted to relax. So those of us a little balabatish are picturing Yaakov Avinu's dream, fantasy life, sitting on a Pacific Ocean beach, smoking a nice cigar with a pina colada, and that's what we think. This is probably what he's looking for. He wanted to relax. I mean, Avad would have his stuff. Yom opened, but everything. He would have the perfect drink. He would have had the perfect breakfast, the perfect lunch waiting for him, the perfect weather. And this is what we would think. This is what Yaakov Avinu wanted to be Leisha V'Shalva. That's what it would appear. You know, when you look at it very, very pashut, very, very simple. Simple people would assume Yaakov's on their madrega. And if you want to relax, what do you do to relax, Ellie? Right? So you assume that Yaakov Avinu's relaxation was somewhere on your radar screen of relaxation. The shaila is that Yaakov Avinu is a very big tzaddik, as we know, much bigger than us, and he for sure at least learned the hakdam of Mesilas Yesharim, right? He probably got all the way to the Ruach HaKodesh parak, and he probably was able to apply it to his life, and by the time he got over here, he had probably done this many times over. And it would appear that Yaakov is Bikesh Leishev B'Shalva, and it sounds like he wants to see B'Shalva B'Olam Hazeh. It sounds like he overlooked the hakdam of Mesilas Yesharim. What does Mesilas Yesharim say? He makes it very clear. Life is garnished. You're not going to enjoy life. Even if you find that Echad Me'elef that has a life, right, that seems to be on the surface enjoyable, or his brain functions on such a low level, like the cockroaches I told you about, that everything is good because they don't have a multifunctioning brain. All they could see is pleasure. You know, so if someone is on such a low level and that's his life, right? Obviously, that's not the tachlis, and it's not even attainable, right? As the Mesilas Yesharim says, everybody knows life from beginning to end is mole nisyonis. So what does it mean that he was Bikesh Leishev B'Shalva? The Medrash brings down Nachapshat in Vayeishev Yaakov Beretz Begurei Aviv. What was his yeshiva? What was his sitting down that Yaakov Avinu wanted to do? So the Medrash too tells, like Rashi does previously, that we just spoke about Vayeishev, the Moshavos of Esav, and all his alufim. Esav was a big guy. He had a tremendous civilization. And Vayeishev Yaakov is contrasting Yaakov's civilization with Esav's civilization. The Medrash says the following: Yaakov, Moshe Ma'adav, V'doime, a guy's walking down the street, and before he knows it, he's sleeping. He falls asleep. No, that wasn't what happened. He's walking down the street. People don't walk down the street and fall asleep, right? When was the last time a guy fell asleep walking down the street? It's ridiculous. Anyway, so he's walking down the street, and all of a sudden he sees coming towards him a pack of dogs. And he doesn't like dogs. And these are like wild dogs. So he's pretty scared they're going to bite him and bark at him and do everything else dogs do that make people upset. What does he do? If he starts running, what's going to happen? They're going to run after him. He can't get away from a pack of dogs, right? So what does a smart guy do? A smart guy just relaxes, just sits down amongst the dogs and makes it, and just, relaxes. Mind over matter. If I don't start getting crazy acting crazy, they're probably just going to leave. And that's what he does. So Zok the Medrash, this is tight. Vayeishev Yaakov be'eretz Meguri Aviv. Yaakov Avinu, he saw Esav and his pack of dogs. Right? He saw all the Alufei Edom, and he saw all of Esav's civilization. This was obviously a very huge nisayon to Yaakov Avinu. But instead of getting flustered by it and trying to run and thinking that you could avoid the nisyonis of Esav, Halachu Yashav B'neiim Vayeishev Yaakov be'eretz Meguri Aviv. He just relaxed and he settled in, accepting the nisyonis, not trying to run away from it. And doing his Avodas Hashem, accepting that there's nisyonis and Avodas Hashem. These two medrashim of Bikesh Yaakov Leishev B'Shalva, and this medrash that he was just trying to stay in control of the situation of the nisyonis of Esav and the scary dogs of Esav. They seem to be two opposite medrashim, two totally opposite directions. But l'chayra they overlap. Right? Obviously, Yaakov Avinu understood that life is full of nisyonis. So when the Medrash says Bikesh Yaakov Leishev B'Shalva, it means with all the nisyonis. So they really, on some level, they seem to go in opposite directions. But really, it gives us a window into what it means to Leishev B'Shalva. With all the nisyonis, right? With all the nisyonis, Yaakov was prepared Leishev B'Shalva. He's going to find shalva in every nisyon and not think that there's something wrong with me. My life's over. I can't do this. Yibashim put me in here. There's hashgacha in every moment of my life, and maybe I could be leishev b'shalva mitoch all the nisyonis of Esav and Galus. The Rabbi Yaakov Galinsky brings down in his Sefer Bigat Levincha, he brings down the a mashal from I think it's Shiur Das. I think it's the Talsa Rosh Hashiva, one of the Talsa Rosh Hashivas from way back. He says, Mashal Mal David Daim, a person has nisyonis, he tries to run away from his destiny. You can't run away from your destiny. You're going to have to face every nisayon, and you have to be only ben nisayon. And telling yourself otherwise is just going to depress you. Like, why am I going through this? This isn't right. If you're living your whole life as if this is b'diavad, but this isn't right, you're not going to have the focus to be able to do what you have to do. If you accept the matziv, this is what Rebbe wants me to contend with. And this is lichatchila. You wake up every day with a maidan lefanechem alachai v'kayim. So he says a mashal the following. You have a bird who has a very bad smell. This bird smelled very bad. Okay, that was, I don't know why the bird smelled. That's what he said. The bird smelled very bad. The bird is not the brightest of creatures. And he notices he's sitting in his nest and it smells really bad. So he says, you know what I'm going to do? Smells up here. I'm going to build my nest someplace else. So he goes to a place else and builds another nest. And sure enough, it smells again. So what does he do? He says, got to build another nest. He flies a mile away, builds another nest. Still smells 10 miles away, builds another nest. He spends his whole life trying to get away from the smell, not realizing that he is the smell. Right? You can't get away from it. This is you. You can make the best of it. You could not focus on it. You could be leishev b'shalva in the matziv. And this is the mashal he gives a yid in Olam Hazeh. Is surrounded, being clobbered by nisyonis everywhere he goes. Doesn't get a moment's peace. You walk down the street. You walk. You who knows what you do? Go on the phone. You go to work. Wherever it is, right? Moli nisyonis, and you're thinking to yourself that there's something wrong. I can get away from this somehow. Some people use the corrupt methods. They think, well, if I give in, I'm going to get away from it. Little they know, giving in to nisyonis, you're just digging the hole deeper and you're further in it, right? But there are people that are fighting, but they're fighting with a bad attitude. They're fighting with a lack of confidence. They're fighting with a negativity. This is not meant to be me, and they're frustrated by it. And the frustration just saps all their kaiches. And if they looked at the nisanis and the life that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them is l'chatchila, they would get up and they would face the world with a different simcha, a different bitachon, and a different level of success. This Sunday, Erev Chanuka is the yahrzeit of Baron Leib Steinman. Baron Leib Steinman was a huge Talmid Chacham, huge tzaddik, but one thing that he was famous for was this midah, the midah of being a savlan. He did what his Das Torah told him what his Messiah was, and he did not care. He had people literally ripping him from head to toe and bashmutzing him and saying, and what, to a normal person, it would have been something that would have been very, very, very demeaning, very upsetting. And Rabban Leib commented about this in a letter he wrote to one of his Talmidim, and he says, Baruch Hashem, my midah is, I'm a savlin. None of this bothers me. It makes no difference what people say to me. I have my focus. If this is the matzav that's around me, I could find the shalva in this matzav. Just another mashal that they say over, I think from the Baal Shem Tov. He brings it down over there, Yaakov Galinsky. He says, imagine you have a woman, she's in labor, she goes to the hospital, they put her into a room, and she's in a lot of pain. She says, I'm in so much pain. Let me go to the room, let me be Mishana Mokim. Maybe I'll be Mishana Mas. Let me go to the room next door. Maybe that will lessen the pain. What's the answer? No, the pain is yours. It's your pain. It's internal. There's nothing you can do, and you have to face it. And that's what any of you that are married and are going for Lamaz classes, you know what it means, mind over matter, and that's really what it is in every day. We have nisyonis, and that is the bikesh Yaakov leisha b'shalva l'chayra, and it even stems with the Rashi bikesh Yaakov leisha b'shalva. The tzadikim mevakshim leisha b'shalva, right? They want us to be leish b'shalva. Makadosh Baruch Hu loydayin tzadikim asher b'sukan lem loylam haba. El mevakshim leisha b'shalva b'olam hazeh. So it sounds like a Kadosh Baruch Hu is being mean. It's like you want this? I'm not going to give it to you, right? But the pshat kenzai al pi ha'emes is that you want olam haba. You have to recognize olam haba is only without namid kisufa. If you're not working every day and struggling, this is the bikesh tzadikim leisha b'shalva b'olam hazeh. Is bikesh leisha b'shalva b'toich the nisyonis with the b'toich and HaKadosh Baruch Hu that b'zoiche to the olam haba. Just for you guys with a quick ma'isa maybe on this topic. There was a rabbi's name was Rabbi Yitzchak Mivarki. He was a Talmud of the Chayz Lublin. And he was from a very wealthy family. And he came to the Rebbe for whatever amount of time it was, a week, a month, whatever it was. When he came time to leave, the Rebbe told him, you should really take a job as a malamed. And he's thinking to himself, take a job as a malamed. I'm from a very wealthy family. I don't need to be a malamed. Malamed didn't get paid too much back in the day. Actually, I had a family member of mine did research of my great grandparents in Russia from the mid 1800s. So my namesake, actually not my namesake, my namesake's father, he was a malamed in Russia, and it had to be official, and you had to have permission from the government to do it, and you had to report what you were earning, and I'm not sure he reported everything. But it was, each kid paid, he had 10 kids in his group, each kid paid a ruble a month for the malam. So he made 10 ruble a month, 120 ruble a year, whatever. I don't know if they paid for Beit Zman. I don't know what a ruble was worth, but that was what a malam had made. So Yitzchak Mivorki is thinking to himself, first I have some malamdas, I can work on higher level things. I don't need the money. Anyway, the Rebbe says what he said. He heads home. As he's heading home, he stops off in a shul on the way to daven, and a guy sees him davening with a geshmak. He says, Balabas comes over to him and says, I see you davening such a slavas. I'm looking for malamed for my child. He says, for my children, could you be a malamed? So he says, the Rebbe says, you be a malamed. Okay, I'll be a malamed. So he moves into this guy's house, and he's being malamed his kids, week after week, a couple of months. One day he walks into shul, as he usually did, and two people are having an argument, and they're screaming. One of the guys starts screaming and yelling, and having a fit, getting all into a tizzy. So the other guy tells him back. He says, "Shteit in pasuk by Asher, Meyar menuchi ki toiv Asher saw menucha, relaxation is geschmack. So what did he do? Vayeishev my lisbo. He lowered his shoulder in order to be soivel. He says, if you want menucha, you have to be willing to be soivel. If you think you'd get menucha by running after menucha, you're never going to have the menucha. But if you want vayar menucha ki toy vayeishev my lisbo, being willing to be soivel, not getting what you want or getting what you really don't want, then you could have a menucha, you could have the shavan ayil hazeh. Yitzchak Mivorki, he heard this vart and he realized that the Rebbe sent him just to hear this vart. And this is the ticket, this is the mindset that he was lacking in his avodas Hashem. And when he heard this vart, he handed in his resignation as Malamed and went on to be whatever he became a Greiser Rebbe. Anyway, we should be Zeiche, Taka to be Leishiv Shalva, and the Nisayonis should not be too great, but when the Nisayonis do come, Kigalim, Min Hayam, you should be able to be Davak and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they shouldn't be distractions that distract us from our Hashem, from our learning, from our davening. We should have simcha. We should be zeicha to Shabbat Kodesh and Happy Chanukah Hashem on Sunday.